Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you here to the penultimate race of Season 2 of the MSFC here at the track of the Pantheon, the Hippodrome. Here as we look at the starting order, it was Alpha with a big pole win, the first pole of the season for the Pantheon, and with the Pantheon in third in the standings, they need a good race, and Alpha is in a prime position to give it to them. One of the most shocking develops of qualifying, Electra, who has been a fantastic qualifier this year and has podiumed in all 5 of her Grand Prix up until this point, she qualified shockingly in 11th. So it's going to be a lot of work for her to move up the standings if she wants to keep Team Fire in the lead. A team that very well could be in the lead if they do well today is Klaus, starting in second today with their superstar Bedlam. They have a prime opportunity in front of them today. And the other member of the top four, the Camo Hiders, not a bad starting position for Vorpal. They start in 6th. So those 3 teams all could make a big move in the championship standings if they can clutch up today. But once again, it's time for me to hand the mic over to our guest commentator for today.
We are here at the Hippodrome, and we are off. Alpha immediately out into the lead with Zorro in second, Bedlam falling back to third. Who is that in fourth? Is that Clear or is that Showmaker? I can't really tell. But Zorro trying to hold off Bedlam for second. I don't know if they can. They will. What a move. And Bedlam is kind of disoriented by that. Gets a lucky bounce on Opal as Electra is already making some moves to get into almost the top half, now the top half. Alpha staying up in front. Then it's going to be, I believe, Opal, then Jasper, Electra. Is that Showmaker, Vorpal, Glaive? Oh my goodness, what a challenge by Zorro. I just saw that. Going onto the conveyor belt, Alpha able to hold it off, but Zorro is being relentless right now, and I believe may take the lead here. Yes! Alpha loses a lot of speed there, and that will hurt both them and Bedlam. Zorro streaking into the distance. This would be a familiar marble leading this track, as Zorro did a great job during MSFL Season 4, but Zorro, a bad bounce on the Hippodrome, and Alpha will take the lead right back, as Bedlam is now getting challenged by, is that Jasper for third? Zorro falling back as well, and there comes Vorpal with a lot of speed. Alpha now has a pretty sizable lead. Obviously can't really relent at all. Because of that gaggle of marbles, any one of whom could pose a threat right now. Electra sitting back there. Electra needs some points. Oh, trouble for the conveyor belt. Trouble for Alpha on the conveyor belt. Trouble for a lot of marbles, actually. It seems like that last sector is a little bit too fast, even, for some of those marbles to get a good grip onto the conveyor belt. Seems like that could be the source for a lot of problems today, just from preliminary analysis. Alpha has lost almost their entire lead. Zorro is right there. Oh, what a bad bounce means Bedlam is able to get by them for second. This huge train of marbles. It's barely any distance between first place Alpha and, what is that, 7th place Glaive? Electra in 8th back there. Look at Bedlam. Bedlam is hounding Alpha right now as Jasper makes some good moves to get into third. Alpha holding the lead for now, but can they get onto the conveyor belt cleanly? Both of them do. I believe that was Opal who had some trouble there. Bedlam gets the better jump off the conveyor belt, though, and we have a lead change. Into the Hippodrome. Bedlam looks good. Alpha getting a boost off Zorro, but goes into the back of Bedlam. Will not be enough to take the lead from them. Zorro doing a good job to hold third. As I say that, Vorpal, out of nowhere. That would be huge for the Camo Hiders if they can hold on to this amount of points. Give Hero a good chance for a podium. Actually, all 3 of these teams are in the title fight right now, although Camo Hiders won't be much longer if Bedlam does actually end up winning the race. Klaus, this would be huge for them most of all. Pantheon are not very far back, but Bedlam getting 2 points on Alpha. Well, because Alpha has the 1 from getting pole. But this would be huge for them. They would streak off into the lead. It would be their championship to lose at this point. And Bedlam has a massive lead. As I say that, though, a bad bounce, and Alpha is back to challenge Bedlam. Will not be able to do it right away as Alpha has some trouble going into the S's. Zorro retakes third at some point. But these two marbles, this battle for the top spot looks pretty interesting. Bedlam across the front stretch looks a little bit faster than Alpha and will pull away. Actually, Zoro is now closer to Alpha. 5 laps to go already. Oh, what happened there? Bedlam's some trouble onto the conveyor belt, and Alpha is into the lead. These two have been so close this entire time. And Alpha is into the lead, and Bedlam is more trouble on the Hippodrome for Bedlam. Is Zoro going to take the opportunity? They might be too far back. But that is unfortunate for Bedlam. I didn't even see what happened. I was focused on the battle behind, as Electra, speaking of, makes some good moves in there. But Bedlam must have had a bad entry or something going onto the conveyor belt to get flung back and passed by Alpha when they had that much of a gap. Bedlam, actually, on the back of Alpha, and both now get a clean entry. It is now going to be a 50-50 who gets the better bounce. Of course, it's Bedlam. This racer has been phenomenal throughout MSFC's history, and if Bedlam can get a win here, that would be huge for their chances, not only for their team, but also for individuals. You have to think about that as the season comes to a close. Bedlam is up there in individuals. I believe this may be enough for them to pass Electra. It depends where Electra is in the field. Actually, Electra's looking decent, all the way up to 5th right now. But behind Alpha, Bedlam, and Vorpal will not do them much good. Alpha and Bedlam lock step again onto the conveyor belt. Oh my goodness, Alpha, that move was nasty, and Zoro takes advantage. Onto the conveyor belt, and Zoro into second. That move ruined any of Bedlam's chances. Look how far back they are now. That was disaster for Bedlam. Genius from Alpha. We'll see if they can take advantage. A little shove into the conveyor belt, I think, moved off to the side, or shoved to the side was Bedlam, and just didn't have enough time to react. Clawed their best to get back onto the conveyor belt. Bedlam now once again fighting for 3rd. I think Bedlam is a little angry at that. But Zoro isn't letting them have it easily. Alpha has a pretty decent lead now, assuming no trouble with the conveyor belt, should be able to, as I say that, of course, Alpha, trouble with the conveyor belt, is able to block Bedlam from getting on before they do. But that could have been worse than it was. Obviously, it was very bad for Alpha, and now Zoro is to the lead. Zoro, a huge lead. This could be exactly the opportunity Motown Madness needed to get back into the fight for top half, or perhaps even the fight for a podium. Although it could very well be that at this point, Klaus, Pantheon, and Team Fire are too far gone. I don't know the standings exactly, but I think either way, this is going to be very good for Motown Madness if they can hold it, because Alpha is already back to challenging Zoro, and Vorpal is there as well. Zoro holding the lead, the top 4 all about equidistant, the top 5 even, as Clear is also back there. If they can all get onto the conveyor belt easily, Bedlam cannot. More trouble for the conveyor belt for this marble. That has completely ruined their race today. Vorpal, some trouble, cannot pass Bedlam. What about Alpha on Zoro? Those two are very close. A mistake from Zoro could prompt a perfect weekend from Alpha. Alpha getting closer. But Zoro, I think, might be faster. No, Alpha's closing in. Can Alpha do it? Meanwhile, Clear takes 3rd. No idea where that marble came from. They were in 5th earlier, but must have passed Vorpal and Bedlam. Zoro cleanly through the attenuator. It will be Zoro's to win. Zoro will win at the Hippodrome. Revenge for when they got 4th during the MSFL, and it will not be a podium for Bedlam. That will be huge for the title fight. Klaus will not run away with anything. In fact, I believe Alpha may have done enough to put the Pantheon back on top. After all this, Showmaker in 10th, Zero in 11th, and I believe that is Opal that's way, way back. But this is huge for the standings. We'll see in a minute how they shake up. But what a win, what a race, what a performance.
Congratulations to Zorro on taking the win, and to Alpha for finishing second, which has huge ramifications in the championship battle. Ladies and gentlemen, you could not write better script. The Pantheon and Klaus tied for the championship lead heading into the final race. Team Fire just 1 point behind. And the Camo Hiders just 9 points back. So 4 teams are going to duke it out for the championship on Saturday and Sunday. Good luck.